10 years ago to this day, Mario's Quest Part 1 went live to the world. This 90-minute series was our biggest adventure yet, and almost 10 years on, all 6 parts have amassed over 59 million views. It really broke new ground with the scenery we used compared with before. If you haven't yet seen the remastered edition of Mario's Quest, which came out recently, you should give that a look. There's a link to the video on screen. So today I'm going to share with you some secrets and never before seen footage that was recorded back in 2012. How did we film on real sand in the desert? How did we put our characters on a moving train?
Hello!
How did Luigi fall into a black hole? What did it look like behind the plushes?
Help me! Oh yeah! Yeah!
When we started off making videos, the scenery was simplistic. We used parts of our house to provide variation, such as having some areas on the carpet, some on wood, some near the stairs. Even the mushroom factory was in a bathroom. With experience, we searched for more Mario-like scenery. And in Bowser and the Koopa Staff Part 2, finally used a background other than just a wall for the underwear. This was a black sheet on the floor, aimed at creating a creepy atmosphere. Although it was a basic one, mostly empty. This was the practice we needed to start a long adventure series with Mario's Quest.
Go! Mamma mia!
The first part of Mario's Quest set the scene, showing Bowser distributing the stars among his minions as they're taken to different parts of the world.
Okay! No!
I drew this map by hand and scanned it in, adding some colour to the stars. Here you can see an overview of how basic the surroundings are for Part 1. The pipe at the end of the video and Mario's house are up here, and Bowser's room is down on the floor. Part 2 is the real start of the Mario's Quest scenery. This is the first time we put up a background on top of a desk. The reason why we did this was so we could have a pit in the floor, which was a key component of the underground map. Though this use of a desk would later become the way we do every unique background, because its height is more convenient for filming than the floor. The brown sheet covers some boxes and drapes over a wide area. At the end of Part 2, Peach escapes her captive room and finds Bowser's diary in the dark. All our dark scenes were done by putting a small light on our tripod. Here's a random outtake from when that light fell down. Now look around and at the door in particular, just checking that Bowser's not over there. Part 3 was one of our most exotic sets, even to this day, because of one key element: sand. We used real sand in every section of the outside desert and the pyramid.
I've got sand in my mouth. This looks bad.
It's contained within a board, placed on top of the same desk we used in Part 2. Let's quickly watch this clip where Colorado tries to grab his treasure.
I found the treasure. If only I could just reach it. It's just there. No, what are you doing? No, my treasure.
Now here's a recording of the area behind the scenes. You can see how awkwardly we held up this cardboard box with blue tack and string over to the wall way behind. The main reason why the sand was an issue is it kept getting stuck to characters, so we'd have to dust them off a lot.
Oh, get it!
Yeah? And when Wario threw Colorado here, I managed to get sand on my laptop's keyboard.
Mamma mia!
It's all over my keyboard! We had to keep covering up the tracks in the sand when doing retakes because it would be obvious that we'd already been there. Cover up my trail.
Oh, let's not ever use sand again.
But there was more to this episode than just the sand. Now is a good time to note that for outdoor scenery, we used to be totally reliant on the weather as our natural light when filming. If it was rainy, it was too dark to see. So we had to plan around the weather forecast.
This is the reason why we stopped filming.
We decided to use a floor lamp as artificial light for the inside of Dry Inn, but it seems Colorado wasn't so sure about it.
Oh, I'm just randomly walking along. There's artificial light. Artificial light. Does it look good or not? I don't know.
Nowadays, we have bright lights which we use for outdoor scenes, or ones which need to be kept bright, as you can see from this Peach's Quest snippet. Back to Mario's Quest, here you can see the entrance to the inn, where the wall is basically a folded cardboard box with a tablecloth over it. Here are some scenes that we cut from the final video. Wario is going to sit on a cactus here, but we couldn't find a good place to put this chronologically.
Mamma mia! Why you're stupid? Yeah, you. Oh my. Oh.
And Colorado accidentally lost his hat here, but his Indiana Jones moment didn't make it to the final film.
Yeah. Alright. His hat fell off at the end.
We filmed all the desert scenes needed in part 6 at this same time, 6 months early. We already knew Yoshi would be coming back at the end of the plot.
Yep, he walks off now.
I still remember after part 3 went out, lots of people were angrily commenting about how Yoshi had died. I guess it tugged a few heartstrings.
Aww.
Okie dokie. Oh yeah.
In part 4 we gave ourselves the challenge of making a train appear to be moving with our heroes on board. The exterior of the train is our good friend, the cardboard boxes, covered in sheets and towels. And with the red M to mimic Mario Sunshine's icky paint M. We pushed these boxes along as the Toad was sitting in the front seat. You can see here some of the scenery from after the train crashed. This is the window that Mario and Koopa jumped out of. You can see the Brio train we used, with black paper put over it to look like the black train from other scenes. And here are some pieces of card, track, the driver, Bowser's castle, and even Peach's captive room. The interior hallways are carpeted with a towel, with a box for each wall papered over.
Oh yeah.
So here we have all the characters except for the Toad, who's mysteriously not here.
Oh. Was he meant to?
I just didn't know. We have the engine room. There. Just a little wall.
The boxes are hollow, of course. There's also a clip of me putting the paper on one of those boxes. I'm folding over sellotape to stick the paper to the box. In the first few recordings, We didn't have the box at the far end, where the engine room would be in carriage 1, but you can see here how this didn't work with the angles, because you can see way back into my room, where Boo is sitting on the table. There's even a recording of me taking the rooms apart. We kept hold of the doors for future use. To create 6 similar but slightly different cabins on the train, we used a cardboard box to create a feeling that the rooms were small, with the same backdrops, but mixed up the furniture in each room. You can see how much smaller the cabins are than the engine room.
I'm driving my train.
The engine room buttons are just squares of felt which stick naturally to a black t-shirt which I pinned to a cardboard box. The gears are in fact functional and come from this set called Illumabot. And at the end of here, you can see the camera stand set up to film Peach's captive room. On a random note, this is what I discovered in part 4.
I just realised that you can change the focus of the camera.
This is why the equivalent scene in part 3 is blurry and this one isn't. And it took me nearly 2 years of using this camera to realise it could do this.
Oh no!
In part 5, things took a turn for the spooky. The dark scenes are done by me holding a torch in my hand as before. You can see it accidentally come to view in this outtake.
Oops. I got my fingers in it.
This is the original version of the haunted house. It actually started falling off the wall.
The house is that leaning a heck of a lot for some reason.
So we had to make it again, but sturdier.
Pin.
This is what it looked like underneath the towel. 3 boxes stacked on top of each other with a piece of card to make a pointy roof.
Oh yeah! Mama.
Oh.
We often put the doors on threads to pull them away, but I had to be careful with the angle or else it just looks like the door is falling off the wall. This is my favourite effect that we've done in any of our videos, and since it totally destroyed the scenery, we aimed to do it in one take. Here's how it went.
Wow. So yes, all the scenery has fallen onto the floor. 2 candles are still there. The door.
Yeah!
He's okay, folks. When Luigi goes further into the mansion, he passes the room with the Boo portraits. One of these portraits is a fake and has the real Boo behind it. So to do this, we placed 2 boxes on either side to leave a gap. I can see right through it here. The other 2 portraits are flat pictures on the wall. Ghosts? No, the scariest thing in the mansion is...
Peach.
Wow.
This door was going to appear here instead of the whole wall going back, but it seemed a bit random, so we went for the walled effect. The first take didn't go so well as I didn't leave enough space at the back and the boxes fell off.
Oh! Whoa!
The booth fight was a cool effect involving a mirror.
Hey! Huh? Oh! Yeah! Yeah!
Here's what the scenery looks like for it. This is where I would rest the camera when we needed the mirror to be on the side of the scene. For the front-on scenes, it would sit up on this box. You can see the mirror here. The trick was to keep Boo out of the foreground and only in the mirror, but you can see here that we weren't always successful with keeping our arms out. And our tiny tripod wasn't the sturdiest all the time.
Well, that was...
Fun fact, originally Boo wasn't going to teleport Mario and Luigi out of the basement. So we recorded scenes of them successfully leaving the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I opened the door.
Close the door. It's okay.
Oh, okay.
Do press up somewhere I'm doing. Luigi!
Yeah!
Most of the final part took place in Bowser's castle, so didn't have as much in the way of new scenery besides the prison area where the innkeeper was being held. But I've still got some behind the scenes clips to share. When Mario and Luigi approach the castle from outside, what we're actually doing is holding them with one hand out of an upstairs window and putting them on the next window along.
Actually, I might be able to hold one of Wario and Luigi.
Huh?
I'll take.
Okay. Oh, that Alex was better.
At one point, Mario even fell out.
Mario?
Oh! I can judge. Okay. Go.
When filming in space, we wanted it to be dark outside, but also didn't want to get our reflections in the windows. So we wore mostly black clothes.
Your knees in the reflection.
Yeah, we see. my knee is in the reflection.
I can see your knees.
Here's a final clip of the windowsill which we used to film the Bowser fight. The paper in the background is where I kept all my notes for the episode, and we would check off each scene as we filmed them. But nowadays I keep my notes online. So that's everything in Mario's Quest.
Phew!
In the last 10 years we've developed our filming methods. Because those temperamental folded up box backgrounds fell down a lot, we later got a couple of clamp stands like you would find in a laboratory, which were the biggest lifesaver. The Goombas are optional extras. We also really refined our set building for videos such as the Among Us ones. Looking at the Peach's castle room, for example, the floor is based directly off Super Mario 64, with these windows carefully cut out of card.
Wow!
So that's everything. Comment below with your favourite moment in Mario's Quest, or your favourite behind the scenes clip from today.
Let's go!
Be sure to subscribe with the bell, and we'll see you next quest.
Oh, he was in a costume all along.
Yeah!
Thank you so much.
Well done.
Okie dokie!
Bye. See